Cool. Lovely. So, the information on your project. Also, by the way, for anyone who remembers last time, I know Samrat was supposed to be doing this. My poor guy has laryngitis, so let's wish that he gets better very soon, and we'll get on with it today. So, the project is on cardiovascular disease. We are essentially trying to predict whether or not someone's heart is going to fail, or the reality, we're just predicting whether or not they die. So, with that, it's based off this Kaggle link right here. It's linked in the notebook, which I will send out very shortly. But yeah, you can see, cardiovascular disease is your number one cause of death. Basically, if your heart fails, you're gonna die, pretty obviously. So we want to try and figure out if your heart's gonna fail before your heart fails, ideally. I feel like that much is pretty obvious, right? So in terms of acknowledgements, whatever, how to use the stay, so don't bother about that. In terms of the data itself, no, not that. That's what I want. Thank you. In terms of the data itself, it's a CSV, contains some number of people. I don't know how many. Yeah, I don't know how many, nor do I really care. Okay, looks like about 300 people, whatever. Contains some number of people. You do not have to worry about obtaining it through Kaggle. I'll have all that sorted out for you. So, right now, I'm about to send out the collab notebook in the Pioneers chat on Discord. It's sent. Everybody open it up. 3 of you just tell me once you've opened it. Everybody on Zoom, give me a thumbs up once you've opened it. I want to make sure that everyone has it. Maybe when you open it, make sure to make your own copy immediately. Do not don't start editing the one I shared with you. I don't know if you can, but still just don't try to edit it, because if you do, then that's a bad thing. So yeah, make sure to make a copy, and then once you make that copy, if you're in Zoom, give me a thumbs up, otherwise let me know, through some physical means that do not involve throwing something at me. So yeah. Let's see. All right. So I don't know why I'm that's the wrong way. Camera controls confused the heck out of me now. All right. So 2 thumbs up. Everyone here have it open and made a copy, right? Good. Everybody on Zoom. I saw Cam and Jamel give me a thumbs up. Does everybody else have the notebook open and has made a copy? Or if you know who's in your team, someone in your team has it. I'd like a thumbs up. Okay, cool, awesome, thank you. Cam and Jamel, you guys are taken care of. I saw you already gave me one. Ricky, Edwin, either of you got it open? If not, unmute and tell me what's going on. Actually, no, don't unmute, use the chat. I'm sorry, I can't hear. All right, Edwin, I got you. Ricky, everything good there? You use the chat. I can't hear you, unfortunately. Yep, all right, cool. So everybody has it open. Lovely. So now here's the deal with I messed up with the camera. Jesus Christ, man. That's the wrong way. That's too far. Why do I bother? Okay, cool, yeah. So, in terms of the notebook, it's really simple. For reference, in terms of how this project's going to be assessed, every single one of you in a team or individually, doesn't matter how, you will have until some prescribed time before the meeting on May 2nd, right? So you have, I think that's 2 weeks-ish, 3 weeks-ish? That's 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks to do the project. You'll have to present depending on the number of teams, there shouldn't be too many, so I think we'll have time, but, you will have to present your work, so once you're done everything, don't have to do a PowerPoint presentation, you can literally just scroll through the notebook as I do for the past couple meetings, but you do need to tell us what you're doing and why you did it, right? And I will, in terms of justification, I mean, to just make sure it's actually the justification. So like, for example, if you use something that like we never went over through any of the meetings, but you write in some paper, let's say, then like cite the paper, like link it somehow or the other, I don't need MLA or whatever, but you know what I mean. If you are, say, using a metric that like, like if say you're using something different, like you're using like F1 score, right? Then like, make sure to say why you're using F1 score. You're not going to be assessed on it, however, naturally, all of the different parts of your algorithm are going to be judged. We're not going to send quality points to any of them. This is honestly just to ensure that you guys know what you're doing. Not even just know what you're doing, but it's mostly just to ensure that like, you're actually attacking the problem in like a normal, in like a useful way. And also we just kind of want, I mean, we enjoy seeing what you guys come up with. So yeah, you're gonna have to present your stuff. So make sure when whatever method you choose, whether it's scrolling through the notebook or not, you just, you have something like that in mind when you're making it. In terms of the specifics on what you are being judged on. Also, there will be a prize for whoever gets the highest rank on the judging thing. I don't know what it is, but somehow it always ends up finding out, like, we'll pick a prize of something. Last time was an Amazon gift card. Don't know what it is this time, but we'll figure that out when we get there. Anyway, you're going to be judged on is the confusion matrix score. So for those who remember last time, we talked about confusion matrices. For those who were not here last time or do not know what a confusion matrix is, please refer to the YouTube recording from last time's meeting. That way you'll be able to figure out what those are. But essentially, we're going to be taking the trace of the confusion matrix and we're going to be adding it up. Whoever has the highest one wins. That's the idea. And so with that said, as a result, there's going to be, there is a test set that we are holding back from you guys, which is why I said don't download the data from Kaggle. So another thing, if you download the data from, if you're not getting the data from like the way that I'm about to show you, we are going to probably disqualify you because it sounds way too official. It's a club thing. It's not like something like a stake. There's not like stakes or anything, but like, just like don't train on the test set is basically what I'm saying. Don't like download from Kaggle and then train on that and then, we test your model and it's like, okay, cool, this thing's 100% there for the train on the test set. Like, don't do something that's like very clearly against the spirit of competition because like kind of a rude thing to do, really. But yeah, so I've given you 3 imports here. Feel free to add whatever the heck you want. Moving on to the next. So this one, as I said, please do not modify this. So I have a Git repo that will give you the it'll have all the CSVs you need. The data CSV variable provides a string, which is the path to it, to that, to the GitHub files that get loaded, right? Do with that as you please. I mean, obviously most of you are going to be reading it in as a pandas CSV, but like in general, do whatever the heck you want with it. It doesn't really like, you don't need to, you just need the file path and then again, don't mess with this cell. If you do, you're going to lose the data. That's it. Right. After that, again, just a block for you guys to do what you want. Next part, feature engineering. So, extract some sort of useful data from the attributes you're given. You have the Kaggle link there, so you can study each of the attributes. So some of them are like age, whether or not they have anemia, stuff like that, right? You guys get to, figure out what you can figure out from these features and try to, extract some sort of useful. Maybe see if they can extract like a more useful feature vector or just, throw the whole thing in. I really don't know, up to you, right? But again, that's entirely up to you. Whatever you guys do, go for it. Just make sure that it's not like, well, I mean, I don't really care. Just go for it and make sure that's something that you can explain, right? So, for example, we never talked about this, so this is why I'm saying it. If you are going to say use something like PCA for dimensionality reduction, right? If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. I'm just using an example. But if you are going to use something like that, like, tell us why you used it, and more importantly, make sure you're able to explain kind of what it is. I don't need you to tell me all the mathematics, because like, I don't know, I've been through enough classes, I know what the mathematics are in PCA more or less, but with that said, like, if you're gonna use something, make sure you have reasoning for why you're using it and you know what it is. Don't just like throw something at the wall and see what sticks, and then when you get to explanation, you're like, oh, well, I saw it on the internet and kind of figured I could just use it. Like, if you're gonna use something, make sure you know what the thing that you're using is. That's just kind of that. After that model selection, I am assuming that most of you are going to use decision trees. If you don't use a decision tree, that's your own ass. You're not going to get disqualified if you don't use a decision tree or a random forest or whatever. So like, it is entirely up to you which model you pick. I do not care. But we only went over decision trees, so I'm expecting most of you to use that. With that said, I don't know, if you get better performance using like a neural network or whatever, go for it. I just like, whatever, end of day, it's just like tabular data, right? So it's not like the worst thing in the world. As for testing your model, again, do not modify the cell. If you guys remember from last time, this is the function I made to print out a confusion matrix. Call this function on the predicted labels and the true labels. You guys can see all the documentation and the code there. And it will return, it'll print out a confusion matrix that will show your confusion matrix score, which, as you guys can see, the confusion matrix score is just a trace, or for those who have not taken linear algebra, it is the sum of the diagonal entries. Ideally, you want that as high as possible, which is why we're saying if that's, as high as it can be, then you get it, then, you win the competition. But yeah, this is your confusion matrix. It'll measure your confusion matrix score and it'll return it. Now, as I've listed here, we are assessing you specifically on the trace of your confusion matrix. However, you are going to be presenting these models, right? And ideally, you're going to be showing why your model is good. So, use multiple metrics. Don't use only one metric. In general, and the reason I say that is because you do not have access to the actual test set, right? You guys have some data, and you have to partition that into training and validation, but you don't get the test set naturally. So, since you don't get the test set, what's a good way to ensure that your model generalizes well? Well, if it's good at confusion matrix score, it could be good, but like, if you have a good model that has a good confusion matrix score, and then you measure its confusion matrix score in the test set, which won't happen until May 2nd, by the way. So gotta have a good model before that happens. But yeah, say you measure confusion matrix score in the test set, and it turns out it's like a lot worse due to something or the other, right? Well, I mean, you're shit out of luck there at that point, right? You've got to try and fix. You can't really fix that. So use multiple metrics, and those multiple metrics will help you ensure that your model generalizes. If your model is good in one metric, again, as I said last time, if your model is good in one metric, then, bravo, you made a half decent model. If your model is good in many metrics, then you probably made a pretty good one, right? So, do not hesitate to use more than one. I've only provided code for this one because it's the one that we care about for the contest. But, again, use as many as you can. And so that's what this code cell here is for. Just, I don't know, go to town, figure out the good metrics that you can use, and, to show that your models work at half level. And then, yeah. Now, this part is the important part in terms of submission, right? So, once you have a model, and I will also note, this applies only to anybody who is using an sklearn model, which means if you're using an SVM, decision tree, anything through scikit-learn packages. If you're using something fancy, say a neural network or whatever, or say you coded the model you're on your own or whatever, you're shit out of luck in terms of using this function. You've got to figure it out yourself. Now, for those of you who know what a neural network is, I am assuming that you know how to use an H5 file. If you don't, don't even bother. Because if you're not able to save your model, then how the heck am I going to measure how good your model is, right? But whatever, once you're done, you save your model, right? You run this function, it'll save it. You'll see it should save it out to somewhere in here when you click on that or whatever. You then take that file, which should have .pkl as an extension, and then you go to file and download IPyMB. You download your notebook, you download your model, you then click on this form right here, and you put in your team name, the members of your team, and you upload the notebook and you upload the model. Right? Now, as I have listed on this thing, you have only one model per team, right? We are not running this per team, we're only going to run it once on the test set, right? So make sure that when you submit, that is what you want to submit, right? That whatever the final product is the model that you feel comfortable submitting. And furthermore, the notebook is the notebook you feel comfortable submitting. Moreover, I will also say that, pro tip is don't submit until the very end, because, we're not going to test anything until after just naturally. We're not going to test anything until after you guys have submitted everything, right? And furthermore, there is no detriment to you waiting a little bit to submit, whereas there is a huge detriment to submitting early and then realizing you screwed up. So make sure that whatever you submit is a modeling notebook that you are comfortable submitting. And well, I mean, once that's done, you're done with the project. So with that said, my little song and dance is over. Are there any questions as to logistics from the three of you here or anybody on Zoom? I'll take it that there's none from you guys. Anyone on Zoom has anything? Tell me in the chat, maybe. Otherwise, I don't know, give me a thumbs up. All right, cool. Also, I'm assuming that means you're good. So I'll take that one thumbs up as a representative sample. Don't do that. And we'll go with assuming that everyone's cool. Now, I'm going to leave the rest of the time to you guys for working. So I'm going to end the Zoom recording. I'm not going to end the Zoom meeting because, like, you know, whatever. I'm ending the Zoom recording, but you guys have at it, do as you please, and you know, have fun with the project. Right.